Three African military governments just delivered a stunning blow to international justice, and their reasoning might shock you. In a coordinated move that sent shockwaves through diplomatic circles, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger simultaneously announced their immediate exit from the International Criminal Court on Monday evening, September 22nd. But here's where it gets controversial. These nations didn't mince words, boldly condemning the ICC as nothing more than a neo-colonial tool of oppression wielded by imperialist powers. These three West African countries, all currently under military rule following successful coups staged between 2020 and 2023, have been steadily pivoting away from Western influence while embracing what they call sovereigntist policies. The military leaders who seized control in these nations have consistently challenged traditional international frameworks, and this latest move represents their most dramatic rejection of Western-dominated institutions yet. United under their regional alliance known as the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, these governments issued a joint statement declaring their withdrawal would take immediate effect. As part of their broader mission to fully assert their sovereignty, the military juntas didn't stop there. They launched a scathing attack on the ICC's track record, claiming the court has proven utterly incapable of addressing and prosecuting verified war crimes, crimes against humanity, genocide, and crimes of aggression. And this is the part most people miss. These countries aren't just walking away empty-handed. They're planning to establish their own indigenous mechanisms for consolidating peace and justice, with plans already underway to create a dedicated Sahel criminal court. This represents a bold experiment in regional justice that could either revolutionize how international law operates in Africa or create dangerous precedents for avoiding accountability. However, there's an important legal technicality that many observers overlook. According to international law, a state's withdrawal from the ICC doesn't become official until exactly 1 year after they formally submit their withdrawal documents to the United Nations Secretary-General. This means these countries remain under ICC jurisdiction until late 2024, despite their public declarations. The timing of this announcement raises eyebrows, particularly given these nations' growing ties with Russia, whose President Vladimir Putin has been subject to an ICC arrest warrant since March 2023 for alleged war crimes involving the deportation of Ukrainian children. This alignment with Moscow isn't coincidental. It reflects a broader geopolitical realignment that's reshaping African international relations. The irony here is stark. While these countries condemn the ICC for failing to address serious crimes, they themselves face mounting allegations. Their military forces are battling deadly jihadist groups affiliated with Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State organization. Yet these same armies stand accused of committing crimes against civilian populations. Critics argue this withdrawal conveniently shields these governments from potential future investigations. But here's where the debate gets heated. Is the ICC really biased against Africa? Or are these accusations merely convenient deflections? Established in 2002, the International Criminal Court was designed with a noble mission: prosecute perpetrators of the world's most heinous crimes when national governments lack either the will or capability to do so themselves. With 125 member states until this recent announcement, the ICC has positioned itself as the world's court of last resort for international justice. Notably absent from ICC membership are major global powers, including the United States, Russia, China, Israel, and Myanmar. Hungary dramatically exited earlier this year, protesting the court's arrest warrant against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. This pattern of departures raises uncomfortable questions about the court's effectiveness and legitimacy. The accusations of African bias aren't entirely unfounded. Critics point out that the ICC has disproportionately focused on African cases, securing convictions against figures like Congolese warlord Bosco Ntaganda, sentenced to 30 years, and Malian jihadist leader al-Hassan, 10 years imprisonment, for various war crimes. Yet the court's defenders argue this focus reflects where the most serious crimes are occurring and where national justice systems are weakest. They also highlight the ICC's acquittals of prominent African leaders, including former Ivorian President Laurent Gbagbo, his associate Charles Blé Goudé, and former Congolese Vice President Jean-Pierre Bemba, demonstrating the court's commitment to fair proceedings. The precedent for African departures exists. In 2016, Gambia, South Africa, and Burundi all threatened to leave the ICC, though Gambia and South Africa ultimately reversed their decisions. Only Burundi followed through, suggesting that international pressure and domestic considerations often outweigh initial withdrawal impulses. Most recently, the ICC expanded its reach beyond Africa by indicting former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte for crimes against humanity in September, followed by his arrest and transfer to the Netherlands, where the court maintains its headquarters and detention facilities. This latest withdrawal by the 3 Sahel nations represents more than just a bureaucratic procedure. It symbolizes a fundamental challenge to the Western-led international order that has dominated global affairs since World War II. These military governments are essentially arguing that they can deliver justice more effectively through regional mechanisms than through international institutions they view as compromised by imperial interests. But here's the million-dollar question that nobody wants to address directly. If these countries succeed in creating effective regional justice mechanisms, could they actually prove that the ICC model is fundamentally flawed? Or will their withdrawal simply create accountability gaps that allow serious crimes to go unpunished? The answer to this question could reshape how the world approaches international justice for decades to come. These 3 nations are conducting a real-time experiment in sovereignty versus international accountability, and the results will be closely watched by countries worldwide who are questioning whether Western-dominated institutions truly serve their interests. What do you think? Are these countries justified in rejecting what they see as neo-colonial justice? Or are they simply trying to escape accountability for their own actions? Should regional courts replace international ones, or does this withdrawal represent a dangerous step backward for global justice? The implications of this decision extend far beyond the Sahel. They challenge the very foundations of how we pursue justice in an increasingly multipolar world.